Hello, welcome to Inside the Birds Postgame Live with Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan, and Eagles Hall of Fame offensive tackle Trey Thomas. And fellas, what an interesting game. The Arizona Cardinals seemingly had at least a tie and maybe a victory, but they let it slide away from the Philadelphia Eagles. We saw Kyler Murray make a very bad move at the end of the game to slide short of the first down marker. Then their backup kicker misses the kick. The Eagles win 20-17. They stay undefeated, 5-0, and they win for the first time at State Farm Stadium. They break that 0-5 losing streak that they had. First win in Arizona since 2001, long time ago. So a lot of firsts for the Philadelphia Eagles. Trey, you're first up because people are mad at you. You got the undefeated jersey behind you from the Dolphins, 72, the last undefeated team in the NFL. You want people to embrace the idea, the concept of undefeated, and every time you say it, people come at you.
Oh, yeah, everybody, man. It's like I said, hey, man, they about to go out and get whooped every game. Everybody was like, oh, my God, how dare you say such a thing? Get on the positive train. Stop all that. It's okay. It's okay. And right now they're 5-0. And I mean, this was a tough game for them to pull out. And I don't know what it is about going out to Arizona. The 5.5 hour flight or whatever it is, the time change, But there was a time when we used to fly out there at least 2 days before the game. Not a big fan of that flying out the night before a game out in Arizona, and it looks like that, like the team just didn't have a lot of pop out there during this game. It just seems like the energy level wasn't there.
Yeah, I tell you, Trey, for the first time, I thought, and Adam, I want to know if you agree, I thought Arizona was the more physical team in this game. I thought they hit harder and they looked a step faster, especially on defense. I just thought in general, the Cardinals, we talked about them in the pregame show, that they have somewhat of an identity crisis that did surface at times, but they certainly came and tried, even falling behind, right? They hit hard and they did what they had to do to get back in that game.
Well, actually, what I would tell you is when the Eagles were up 14-0, they looked like this was going to be an absolute blowout. Eagles scored 2 out of the first 3 drives. Arizona played off coverage smartly. Shane Steichen saw that. It was looked like Arizona couldn't do anything right. Eagles did everything the right way on offense, and I know they didn't run the ball well. It didn't matter because Arizona was giving up so much room. Goddard was killing them. Devontae Smith was killing them, and you did what a good play caller does. Take what the defense gave you. Gave you all this room. Sometimes they were 10 yards off. Throw the football. That's what you do. That's good coaching. Mm-hmm. And then they bogged down a little bit in the second half, but I agree with your point. People seem to lose their energy, their juice that they had, particularly in the first quarter and a half. I don't know what happened, but they held on. The defense seemed like it got a little gassed in the second half, particularly with chasing Kyler Murray. They did such a good job in the first half against Murray, but the dam broke, and they just barely held on. But good teams always find a way to win when it's not going well. And the Eagles are a pretty good football team.
Adam, for the first time, the Eagles looked human, meaning, we saw the first 4 weeks. Other than the Lions game and, maybe a little bit of struggle at times here and there against other teams. But for quite a while, the Eagles have looked like a very dominant team. Today, we saw some kryptonite, if you will. But do you find that to be something that was inevitable anyway and good that they overcame?
Well, 2 things. Last week, the Jacksonville game, they were human. They were down 14-0, and then they showed to be superhuman, came back like in bad weather. They ran the hell out of it 50 times. And then this game, those drives were so amazing. And I'm like, wow, this is going to be just like I thought it would be. And then, as you said, they kryptonite, I don't know what it is other than, look, Kelsey gets hurt, he leaves. Dixon gets hurt, he leaves. It didn't look like he was going to come back. I give him all the credit in the world for coming back. Kelsey comes back. We'll find a little bit more this week. I doubt they'll practice very much, if at all, because they're beat up. Kelsey's amazing. And that obviously helped them. Sua Petter came in, and Driscoll, of course, started at left tackle. And Cam Jurgens got his first playing time. The Eagles were down a lot of linemen. If those guys don't come back, goodness gracious, I don't know what would have happened. And that was obviously a big part of the game. But how about the big story of the game? Cameron Dicker, the kicker, unbelievable job. He was perfect. He kicked the hell out of it today.
He absolutely did. And Trey, I'm going to lob the same question to you. I think we all expected at some point the Eagles were going to have a game where their adversity was tested even more so than last week with the driving range. So they were going to be behind or it was going to be tight and on the road. So when you look at everything that you might have seen today that may have been concerning that we'll get into when we start talking offense and defense in general, is this something to be expected along the way?
Well, you know what? Yeah, this was a game that, you just felt like the energy levels wasn't there, and that's just that, flying out to Arizona. To me, it just felt like that you're flying out the night before, the day before the game. It just seems like they just didn't have their legs underneath them. And then, you kind of saw some of the old game plan sneak back in where everybody was playing off and you just allowed Kyler Murray to just go ahead and just eat up your secondary pretty much. I mean, he just had his way. I mean, he really didn't have to hold on to the ball too much. A lot of little quick throws, just picking you apart. And, to me, I think that you have a secondary that can play, that can get up there and be aggressive and can challenge receivers. And I think that that's a better game plan than to allow the guys to play back, because I think that kind of wears on your defensive front, especially when they can't get home.
Yeah, no doubt, Trey. And we talked a lot about travel just in the preseason, right? When they went from Miami to Cleveland and everything like that. This team has done a lot of that since the start of training camp. Want to get into a few things. My own takeaway is sometimes you win a game because you're great and you do everything right. Sometimes you get a little lucky and you need a little luck along the way. I really felt Arizona lost this game more than the Eagles won it, which is fine. You're going to get that. Not just the Kyler Murray slide. There was a Zach Ertz drop that was big. There was a Hollywood Brown drop right over the middle, perfectly placed ball that he's going to wish he had that one back, because that one could have gone a long way. Of course, Kyler Murray had Zach Ertz open on a 3rd and 8 and just completely missed him against the blitz. These guys are going to watch the tape and they're going to realize they had an opportunity to win that they let slide. And then conversely, the Eagles will watch. And we talked about this in the pregame show, Trey. Jason Avant brought to light that coaches in wins tend to be a little less strict on the corrections than in losses. Some things slide by the wayside. You would hope that this coaching staff and this team, when they watch the tape, realize that there were some things out on the field that they should have done a little bit better and that they may not be so lucky the next time. Is that fair to be very critical in a game like this? With the tape?
And I think that that's where you have to kind of look at the leadership within the locker room as well. And that's why I feel like this team has that, where, you have enough guys in that group that can go back and watch the film and like, hey, man, all right, yay. Listen, we kind of got by on this, but we need to correct some things because, we don't want to find ourselves in this situation. You go up against a better team. This is a loss. So, you can't let things slide. And that is correct. Sometimes coaches do kind of like, hey, man, we won. All right, let's just keep the momentum going and we just want to move on and just keep moving. But that's when you need to have a good locker room and guys within that locker room that can pull everybody to the side and hold each other accountable so that you can't let those little things slide.
There you go. And it probably helps that the next team up next on deck, the Dallas Cowboys Sunday night. Yeah. So obviously the focus will get shifted really quickly. All right, let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. First, I want to go through Eagles offense against Arizona's defense. Let me tell you though, if you're looking in need some really good CBD, we call it the supremely good CBD. You got to go to freestonefarmscbd.com. Use the promo code ITB and get yourself 20% off. That's 20% off the most organic and natural, grown in the Garden State CBD you can get using our friends at freestonefarmscbd.com. So this game, what stood out to me, guys, and Adam, I'll start with you, is that for the first time this year, the Eagles did not have a very dominant run game. It was a good running game. It was an honest running game. And I know offensive linemen were in and out a little bit, but we've seen offensive linemen go in and out, but not as much of a physically punishing running game as we've seen in the past. And that seemed to change their offensive complexion a little bit.
Yeah, see, the Cardinals are not very good at corner. They've gotten away with it. Like week 1, they're horrendous against Mahomes. Mahomes embarrassed them. It's one of the most dominant performances I've seen by a quarterback in a long time. He just housed them.
Right.
So the Eagles know what the tape looks like. That if you look at the other games where their secondary played better, it was because the quarterbacks didn't really play well. So to me, you come out throwing, they tried, it worked, they were up 14. It looked like a absolute blowout. It's kind of what we talked about in pregame. We all thought the Eagles would control this game. I think what happened is they started shooting themselves in the foot, missed some plays. I think the blitz.
Holdings. Yep.
I think the blitz. Yeah, but I think the blitz, the Cardinals blitz really got to them.
Did.
Part of it obviously is those missing linemen. When you're down 2 linemen at a point, that's going to hurt. It hurt them. Plays were there to be made, but I don't think Hurts could see it because the blitz got him. Got really pressured and made a move, and he ran the ball in the first half when he was blitzed. Those are called pass plays. So, but he ran, and they probably felt like they left some plays on the table. Knowing the way that these coaches think, I'm sure they believe that. Overall, wasn't a great offensive performance, other than the great start that they got. Boy, did they bog down. If you would have told me when they were up 14-0, they would only score 20 points, I would have thought I never would have believed it. But
right.
I give the Cardinals credit that they kept the game close. And as you said, you're right. The Cardinals had a very good chance to win that game. Murray cannot make that mistake that he made. It just is bad. Better situational awareness. And when you put it in the hands of a kicker, Matt Amendola, who's, boy, I mean, if he's still with the Cardinals this week, I'd be shocked. Talk about hitting a waffle iron. That thing is awful.
Yeah. It's funny. You had mentioned that when the Eagles signed Cameron Dicker, that there was another team in on him, and I couldn't help but think, I wonder if it was the Arizona Cardinals who also themselves needed a kicker and had to sign Matt Amendola, and obviously that was a decision that hurt them in the end. Trey, Adam made the point, there was some off coverage by Arizona at first. The Eagles seemed to spring the tight end screen to Dallas Goedert, hit Devontae Smith on a few, but then sort of after the second, third, fourth, and into the fourth, it felt like they kept trying to go to them without having that much success. Like there was no downfield offense. And I wonder, do you think that they were worried about protecting Jalen down their left tackle and at some points the left guard and even the center? Or do you think this was the game plan against that defense all along?
A little bit of both. I think that, especially when you have Kelsey go down and you feel like he's injured, and then, you have Apeta have to step in there. Do you try to just all right, let's just try to get some quick games, some quick throws out of there, get the ball out of his hands so that we can protect them at all costs? But I felt like we just kind of kept going to the screen games a little too much in this game plan. I like, let's get downfield. What happened to A.J. Brown at some point? I'm like, where did he go? Was he hurt?
Yes. Yes.
Like at some point in the game, I'm like, where's A.J. Brown? Why are we not? I don't see any shot plays going downfield. And I tell you what, one of the things that they're going to have to figure out is with Gainwell and protection. Because right now he has been, because one of the sacks that was given up last week because he couldn't get to the corner blitz because they came up with a double-A gap blitz, and then he gets tied up with the lineman. And again, you saw it come again. They showed it again today with the Cardinals. And then, it's just that Driscoll didn't fire zone read outside to pick up number 7 that came off the edge. But then you just saw Gainwell get a little confused with the double-A linebacker position, and then it just – you get someone come off the edge, and then there's another sack there. So, that's something that they're going to have to work on when he's in the game, that, he has an understanding of how he needs to handle these protections.
And Trey, this is not the first time we've discussed that. Last year he was a rookie, so you kind of say, it's not that you let it slide, but you say that's one of those things as a rookie you have to work on. You have training camp to work on it. We're now more than a quarter way past year 2. I'm not sure he's really made big strides in that area. And not, I wouldn't say regression. I just think you're right. If you're going to be a third down back, the two things you got to do well is catch the ball and pass protect. And right now, the best thing he does is run up the middle, which is not what you want from your third down. You want him to be able to catch the ball and pass protect. It's going to put them in a bind, I think, as they go along if he doesn't get a little better at that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something that he needs to work on, and teams see it. And they're like, oh, hey, he's in there right now. All right, show him the double-A linebackers. Let's get up in the double-A, and then let's bring somebody off the edge because he's going to get a little confused in there, and that's been one of the issues that I've just seen over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah. Now, do you think the screen game was because Arizona blitzes so much? They were the second highest blitzing team in the NFL, and obviously a screen is a good way to counteract an aggressive defense. I think we all agree it was too much, though. But that's why I'm asking. Do you think they saw something there that they just kept thinking, we had a few early, we're going to pop one, and it just seemed like Arizona defended it really well.
Yeah, they played it really well. To me, I just feel like, all right, you know what? If they're going to blitz, then have your receivers cut off their route. Give us a hot route. Give me something that's a little bit different than just these screens, because I think that Arizona knew that the screens were going to come in, and they started playing it really well.
Yeah, we talked about that, Adam, in the pregame show, and Jason Vaughn did a good job of basically breaking down this offense, is that it's not necessarily a hot route-driven offense. He actually explained that sometimes if you have a lot of hot routes, the defense plays into your hand. They blitz in a certain way to make you get rid of it quickly, but it did seem like that was their hot route response, right? It was going to be quick at the ball. I don't want to say they didn't trust Jalen. I just think that they felt they had a game plan that was going to work, and then eventually, as the game went on, it did not do what they wanted it to do.
Here's what I think. With Kelsey and Dickerson out, particularly Dickerson was out very early in the game. It's almost like they said, okay, let's not have our linemen hold the blocks. Let's get out of his hands quickly, which is okay. I could understand some of that, but I'm with Trey. If the protection's good, I'm going bombs away. In fact, if you notice what Vance Joseph did, he knew this. He conceded it, so his corners were so far off. They said, okay, let's take what the defense gave him. That's why you saw Smith involved early. That's why you saw A.J. Brown involved early. Goddard involved early. And then, for the life of me, Brown never had a catch again. I don't think he had a catch in the second half. He's still only under 3.
It's got to be the biggest mystery of the game, is that not only did he not have a catch, it seemed like he did not have a target from the second quarter. To be honest, let me see. I think he wound up. I know he wound up with 3 catches. 2 of them came on the first drive. As far as targets go, he was 7 targets. Man, I'm loath to figure out where those other 4 came from. But I mean, there are a couple that he had to throw away really quickly. Maybe AJ Brown was the closest guy in the area. Trey, when that happens, right? Does the offensive staff come back and say, all right, the next time we're in this situation, we need to make sure we're manufacturing touches, or we need to adjust to make sure that our best receiver gets the ball? Or do you think they're going to look at this and say, hey, this is what the defense gave us?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, look at what happened when after the Detroit game, where you had A.J. Brown go out there and he had all the catches, but then Devontae Smith didn't, skinny Batman didn't get any touches. Then now you could have bet the house that the first throw was going to skinny Batman, and sure enough it did. So I think that they'll make sure that they go out there and make some corrections. I mean, this is a game that you're going to have to go back as a staff and really make a lot of corrections, because you've been beat with the same blitz twice in a row. And now you have Dallas that's coming up next week that really has some really good rushers out there. So you're going to have to, really get in your lab and really make sure that you have everybody on board, and that it can't just be these screen games, because you have to be able to get downfield, because that's what you have too many weapons out there to try to sit there and dink and dunk with these little short throws and hope that they can make something happen.
What do you think was the most effective blitz? It looked like when they would take defensive backs and bring them both from the right and the left edge and try to force him to stay in the pocket or run up. That's when they were able to get. They got up on Jalen quick a couple of times where I don't even know if he had a chance to see the first or second read on that.
Yeah, I mean, what's been happening right now, and what I've been seeing, is that they bring they get 4 down, and then they bring the 2 linebackers and put them both over Kelsey. And then now that's going to put you in a situation, because now the running back has to say, okay, Kelsey has to say, all right, I'm going to take one of these guys, running back, you have to take one. And then they bring the corner off the side, okay? So now what the read is, the running back has to say, all right, the offensive line has to take one of those linebackers, a defensive tackle, a defensive end. The running back has to say, all right, I'm going to take the other linebacker. Once he bails, all right, my read is to go all the way out there to the corner. Now, the problem is that he has to cross the quarterback's face. I don't like running back protection where they have to cross the quarterback's face, because for whatever reason, quarterbacks will sit up there and lie to you and say that flash of color does not affect them, but it does.
Sure.
It does. And I always say, anytime because he knows if he sees that helmet go across his face, he knows that somebody's coming, and it makes him panic. So I think that's one of the blitzes that's been causing some problems, because that's one of the sacks that they got last week. And then again, they did it again this week, and they got another sack in this game.
All right. I do want to bring to light one really good throw by Jalen Hurts against the blitz that I thought meant everything in the game. And I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Last drive, 3rd and 7, they really brought it to him. Did an excellent job of holding on to it just as long as he could. And then bam, Dallas Goedert, kind of a deep crosser there. 1st down, they wind up kicking the field goal. That was that was really, again, you're going to lose some, you're going to win some, but that was a tremendous play by Jalen Hurts, Adam, right? I mean,
big time.
He doesn't do that last year.
That reminded me of a little bit of the Super Bowl throw by from Foles to Hurts, where Nick moved and Zach made an incredible catch. You see them bearing down on Hurts, and he's got to make the right throw. And that was just a huge play. That was a great throw. I know he didn't have a great game. And again, this is his third game without a touchdown pass, but he had 2 running. In fact, he only has 4 touchdown passes, 6 running. The fact of the matter is, when he had to make a throw, he did it. As Trey said, there are going to be a lot of corrections. As Jalen always says, there's a lot of meat left on the bone. There was because when you're bringing the house like they did, guys are going to be open. And I'm curious what the all 22 is going to look like, because I'm just telling you, they were playing such off coverage, particularly early in the game, and they took advantage of it. I don't know what the heck happened after that. I'm curious to get some answers on that.
Yeah. By the way, I love when some of the concepts we talk about on the pregame show just come into fruition in front of our eyes. I mean, one of our big topics today was sort of, you have the number 1 overall pick, Kyler Murray, great arm, great mobility, leadership question, studying question, all that. And then you have Jalen Hurts, 2nd round pick, had to work his way up, but never a question about leadership and poise. One guy makes a great throw against the blitz to lead his team to a field goal. Other guy slides and spikes the ball at the wrong time. So, I mean, what a dichotomy there that we talked about, and it wound up playing out on the field. So, all right, we obviously see the Eagles offense struggled a little bit in a different way than we've seen in the past. And they got to, we'll talk about the Cowboys all week, because that's a good defense that they're going to have to play. Let us move on to the Eagles defense against the Arizona offense. First, we want to tell you about our friends at Manscaped. It's grooming time, right? Right, Trey? It's grooming time.
Yeah.
It's always grooming time. Trey's big into Manscaped too.
I am.
We're all Manscapers. So listen, go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code ITB. Get yourself 20% off all the great products that they've got at Manscaped. And it's not just grooming tools. They've got, travel cases. They've got other grooming tools for your nose hair, your ear hair, everything. It's not just below the waist, although that is a big part of it. So go to manscaped.com and use the promo code ITB. All right, we're also going to hear a word from our good friends at Rivers Casino and Sportsbook.
Game night for me is every night. At the place where I meet up with the guys, grab a cold one, and watch the big game on the big screen. So whether it's the money line, the pass line, or a parlay, I'm in it to win. This is my city, and this is my place.
All right, welcome back to Inside the Birds Postgame Live. Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan, and Eagles Hall of Fame offensive tackle Trey Thomas. Would you like to raise a toast to us, Trey? A little toast to the viewers?
Yeah, cheers, man.
Good man. Cheers to you too.
Yeah. Cheers to you. It's 5-0, still undefeated victory beverage.
Sound that alarm. Undefeated. All right. Also, we want to salute our friends at Rivers Sportsbook and Casino, the host of our pregame show. We love them doing a great job. Let's talk about this Eagles defense. This is the first time and I think that they did some things differently, maybe a little bit more one safety deep. I'll have to go back and check the all 22, but they play a matchup zone, Trey, over the middle. They try to eliminate a lot of those crossing routes, rub routes, but it started last week a little bit with Jacksonville. I noticed that they tried to flood one side with more receivers and confuse, and you saw 33, Josiah Scott, get a little bit lost. And I think today Arizona's route concept against that matchup zone inside really worked. I mean, I'll let you describe how they were able to pick that apart and what they did with their fast receivers.
Well, I think when you have a bunch of small receivers, you got to use, when you don't have a lot of size, you have to be crafty. And I think that's one of the things that Arizona did really well, is that they got crafty, and we kind of hurt ourselves by playing off so much. And then when you have someone like a Kyler Murray that's back there at quarterback, it makes your defensive line not be too aggressive, because you kind of want to just keep him in the pocket and just let him beat you with his arm. You don't want him just scatting around all over the field. But I think that one of the things that really hurt us is just how far we played off. We didn't get up in there and challenge. It was nothing like the Minnesota game. Our secondary didn't play anything like the Minnesota game. I think they kind of just, all right, you know what? We're just going to play off and let them just do whatever they want to do. Our defensive line, they couldn't get home. I mean, Hassan Reddick got a sack, but I mean, other than that, we really we had maybe one or two pressures on Kyler the entire game.
Yeah, there was not a dominant front. I mean, we've talked all last few weeks about the marriage between the coverage and the pass rush, and because the coverage had been sticky, especially on a lot of those crossing routes and those middle routes, that the pass rush was able to get up on it. But Adam, I think that the pass rush was I know the coverage wasn't great, but you do have a lot of highly paid pass rushers there. And outside of Hassan Reddick, I didn't hear Javon Hargrave's name a lot. I didn't hear Fletcher Cox's name, BG, some of the guys who we've been talking about last few weeks. I mean, Josh Sweat's best play was on an end around. So at some point, those guys got to help the back end too and get to the quarterback.
Yeah, Kyler Murray's unlike any other quarterback. He's really difficult to play. Now they got off to a great start. Murray really got off to a bad start in the first quarter. They did a good job against him, and then he started to make some plays with his feet. Hollywood Brown started to get him a little bit, and things started to change. And again, you think you got Murray shut down because sometimes he rushes himself, and as Greg Cosell told us in the pregame show, Murray sometimes doesn't see the field well because he's so small. And you saw some of that. He wasn't sure where to go with the football, and it looked like they had really good coverage. But, the one thing we didn't talk about is, James Conner, before he had his ribs injury, they ran the ball well with him. He had over 5 yards per carry. In fact, I think 6 yards per carry on his nine rushes. So that was a little bit disappointing.
It was.
Just overall, look, they didn't – after the good start, it's funny. Ironically, both sides of the football got off to a great start. Then it started to dissipate.
Yeah, and we talked about the Cardinals don't have a great running game, Trey, but I've been saying, like, when the Eagles come across a team that's going to be able to run the ball and throw the ball well, I thought it was going to be Minnesota, but they definitely dominated Minnesota. Maybe it'll be Dallas, but I do think that their occasionally leaky run defense in this game might haunt them at some point, and almost did today.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you just got to be a little bit more aggressive as a front, and you have to say, all right, you know what, it has to stop here. But just real quick, I want to just go back to this series real quick, right before they go into halftime. And this kind of tells you a lot right here, all right? So you had 15 plays that was ran by Arizona before they went into halftime, all right? You had 10 of those plays were throws, all right? Now, only 2 of those 10 plays went over 2 seconds.
So they were just getting rid of the ball.
Getting rid of the ball.
Bang, bang.
Just boom, boom, boom. And you have to, as a secondary, you got to get up and challenge, man. Now, that drive ended in a field goal. But to me, when you say, okay, hey, the defensive front didn't get there, well, you have to challenge receivers, because if not, the quarterback will take what's there, take the short little routes, and just pick you apart and work you down the field.
So that to me says that John Gannon, I don't want to say for the first time this year, but I think he showed a lot of respect to the rare speed that he is seen. I mean, the Eagles have faced some really good receivers this year, but this might be the fastest, speediest tandem when you take Marquise Brown and Rondale Moore. I mean, those guys can beat you over the top if you let them. And maybe he was afraid to get up on them with the way Kyler Murray can extend the play outside the pocket. And you know how this man is obsessed with not giving up big plays, and he'll die over the middle. He's going to come out of this game saying, we only give up 17 points, Trey.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And that's what he'll say. Hey, we gave up 17 and we came out of here with a win. It's okay.
So are we just screaming at the window? And then when we say you got to play up. To
me, I just, but then if you don't, because then everybody will be like, oh, well, the defensive front didn't do what they needed to do. And to me, and I will go down on this. To me, coverage dictates sacks, because if you don't make the quarterback hold on to the ball, then the defensive front. I mean, you might have to have 5 Tyreek Hills out there at defensive line that's going to be able to get to the court. I mean, it just every sack takes at least 2.3 seconds to get there, unless it's a blitz that came through clean. Right. Other than that, it's always over 2 seconds. And if you just allow the quarterback that just dinked the ball out of there at 1.8, 1.6. There were times where, I timed him where he was getting rid of the ball at like 1.6, 1.5. Wow. That's really quick. As a secondary, you got to get up there and challenge those receivers.
Well, Adam, if this were a trial and Jonathan Gannon was a defense attorney, he would say Kyler Murray, I believe, went into the game as the least sacked quarterback in the NFL. So the plaintiff can say all he wants or all she wants, that you have to get tighter coverage so you can get sacks, and the defense is going to say, no, you don't sack Kyler Murray. That's why you play the off coverage. And you know what? It's one of those things. I mean, it's fair on both sides, right?
Yeah. Again, they only gave up 17 points, but it's interesting. They played very physical against Justin Jefferson. They did a great job against him.
Yep.
Quite frankly, shut him down. In fact, I'm being kind here. To say that he didn't have his usual fire in that game would be an understatement. I guess they just took him out of it, which happens.
Right.
But this game, I agree with everything. I just think they gave up a lot. They were not going to let Hollywood Brown beat him. Of course, he did to a certain extent. Rondell Moore, by the way, he had a new injury, had a knee injury, which he suffered in practice this week. He wound up playing and making some plays. It's funny because Cosell was trying to figure out. Greg said he could not understand the way they were using him. Mm-hmm. And this is probably his best game as a professional. He's done next to nothing in his career. But this is a good game for him. And, Jeff, you set it up right. They should feel pretty lucky, feel pretty fortunate, because Dallas won handily over a bad Rams team. Boy, they are shell what they were. Yeah. Last year, the Rams can't do anything right. Their defense is phenomenal. Their offense really struggled, but it didn't matter because the Rams couldn't move the football.
Right.
This sets up an awesome game on Sunday night in Philly, which could be the return of their quarterback. So we'll see. Right now, he still is not sure they could throw the ball.
Right. Can't wait, by the way. That's going to be an exciting game for us to preview. All right, let's take a quick pause to hear from our friends at Sky Motor Cars.
Sky Motor Cars in Westchester is a different sort of dealership. All it takes is one look at their Highline pre-owned vehicles that people all over the country want and need. Owner Brett Schiller, make sure you don't spend a dime of your money before you purchase the car. Sky Motor Cars allows you to make all the decisions regarding your next vehicle. At Sky Motor Cars, you never have to spend more than necessary. Visit SkyMotorCars.com today or call 610-918-7225.
All right, welcome back to Inside the Birds Postgame Live. Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan with Eagles Hall of Famer Trey Thomas. As we recap this Eagles win, they are still undefeated. And by the way, call it a Philadelphia weekend sweep of Cardinals, as the Phillies took 2 of 2 from the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Eagles now finish it off with a win over the Arizona Cardinals, and they are the only undefeated team in the NFL. But they are human, and we are noticing some things. Now, over the weeks, special teams has eluded the Eagles at points. Now, the Cardinals got a fake punt, got a first down, led to a field goal as time expired there at the half, right? And then Britton Covey, now I want to be his defense attorney a little bit. Am I crazy? I thought he got hit before he had a chance to catch the punt. Did he not get hit before? Was that a blown call, Trey?
He should have called fair catch.
Fine, that's fair, but he still got hit first, did he not?
Yeah, but it's still. I mean, you know what? Now, now that's one position I really respect, man, as a punt return guy, man. Because I mean, I would be fumbling all the time, man. It's just to know that somebody's coming free and he has a full head of steam and he could light me up, and you got to focus on catching that ball. It makes me a little nervous, but I mean, man, put your hand up, dude. Just give us a fair catch, because I mean, if that's a fumble there and it's that's going to the house, that changes the whole game. Yep. He's the one they didn't let into the parking garage, right?
Yes,
he's the one they said, all right, you know what, go park over. No, we don't believe that you're a player. All right.
He's showing them why.
All right, keep acting up. All right. Have you over there?
Can I add a couple? I thought, but he did have a nice punt return of 15 yards. Finally we saw something from him. And how about Aaron Sipos? And thank you, Nick Sirianni, for confirming for the first time in 9 months. He never talks about him. In a recent press conference, he actually said it the way that we've been saying for a year.
Sipos,
it's actually Sipos, right? He did. And Dicker's, by the way, Cameron Dicker is the star of the game. He was incredible.
Absolutely. It was like you lost nothing with the Jake Elliott, the Cameron Cameron Dicker. And again, you juxtapose that with what the Cardinals had to deal with Matt Amendola trying to make the kick. It's just unbelievable how that works out.
So we have a kicker controversy now?
Well, they have a kicker. Oh, yeah. The Eagles might have a kicker controversy.
We have a kicker controversy.
Not quite, but yeah. Well, people are bringing it up. Of course, you know they're going to ask them. Who's your
left tackle controversy too, Trey? I mean,
no, I don't think so.
No.
When Jordan gets back, yeah, that's it.
Okay. Adam, you know how aggressive Howie Roseman is when he has a team like this to improve it in all parts. Jay Ajayi being a great example in 2007, right? Then Golden Tate the year after that. Do you think he'll be looking at punt returner? It's a weird position to try to upgrade. It's because, it's a guy, if he's not a good receiver, then it's just like what you got with Britton Covey. But what do you think?
Again, Covey had a 15-yarder, which was good. Then the ball security, which is not good.
Yeah, because that would have been his second muff punt if they had lost that punt.
No, I know. Again, he another muff, not good. No, look, they could work guys out, sure. And look, if you're trying to be perfect, not that anything could ever be perfect, you look at every issue you have. Special teams return, which has been a problem for years. You got to look at that. What a great job that signing Cameron Dicker. Again, as we reported last week, they somehow beat another team out for him, and it's because he knew he was kicking this week, is our understanding. So, by the way, he might be the kicker next week. Eagles don't know if Elliott's going to be available, is our understanding.
Right.
So with his right ankle injury, so they've got some injuries they got to get cleaned up. You had the good scoop with Mailata. They don't know when they're going to have him exactly. And they're hopeful that will be the next couple weeks. They'd love to have him for Dallas. It's, from our understanding, it's not even close to a given. They don't know if they're going to have him.
That's correct.
What other injury? The two guys got hurt, but they came back. But who knows? They'll see how they feel this week. But you would think they'd play. Who else got hurt?
The left guard, Landon Dickerson, once again came out and once again went back in. They called it lower leg, not foot, but you never know what's going on there. Yeah. Jason Kelce came out. I think Cam Jurgens got his first NFL action. Then Jason Kelce went back in. So, and it's weird. Last week, Isaac Seumalo had to exit the game. Yeah. Trey, they've been able to overcome this, and guys are coming back. But what is your level of concern right now with this offensive line and the beating that it has taken so far from an injury standpoint, going into a game against Dallas that has a great front seven?
Yeah, you're going to need all your horses against Dallas. So, I mean, whatever you need to do, you need to get everybody ready. I don't know what's all out there right now that you could use to kind of help get guys back. But, extra time, whatever they need to do to get them healed up, you need to do that to get these guys back, because Dallas has a nasty defensive front that can get after it, and trying to do all that dink and dunk is not going to work against this defense, because they have a really nasty secondary as well. So I mean, this is something that you're going to need all your horses out there to protect Hurts, because this front can get after it.
Yeah. Do you think there's something? I don't like to speculate. We don't like to play doctor, but in this case, the evidence is right in front of us that Landon Dickerson was dealing with a foot injury for quite a while. Then all of a sudden, he had no injury designation, I think, going into either last week's game or this week's game, but then he leaves with a leg injury. You know about his history, right? This one, Adam, thank you. You know about his history in college. He had 4 different surgeries, knee surgeries, I believe. So do you have some long-term concerns about him being able to hold up here?
I don't know. And what kind of foot injury is this? What are we talking about? Plantar fasciitis?
We're not sure. I was lingering August. Yeah, great question. Love to know. No, it's Trey, as a guy who played tackle, obviously offensive line, when you see a guy continually get knocked around and get hurt, and I know he's a dominant, very strong guy, very talented, but with all the injury, knee surgeries, which Jeff just talked about, do you worry about the longevity? To me, I would if I was overseeing this team. That's not good.
Absolutely. Someone has had a lot of surgeries like that and still goes out and plays with no braces on. You can't help but be concerned about it. When you've had that many surgeries, it seems like you should have on everything Don Joy makes. So I mean, and that's just how it should. You should be protecting yourself. But this is going to have to be something that they have to go back and look at and evaluate. But now, I did feel like Opeta did have a pretty solid preseason, but now it kind of changes when it's regular season, and it kind of the speed of the game kind of amps up a little bit more. But I think the more time that he has and he's preparing to start the game, maybe he plays a little bit better. But, when he was thrown in and then you go to right guard and now you're at left guard and then you're not really sure where you're going to be, that kind of changes your momentum.
See, now that was some Stockton to Malone action right there, because Adam knew you wanted to make some kind of remark on braces. So he asked you the question. He served it up. You slammed it right down on him. We knew that was coming. That was excellent. That was good
First
stuff.
time all season, the trip. For those of you remember, used to watch our pregame show with Trey, Greg Cosell, and Jeff and I. Trey gave a lesson, and he very eloquently, but probably like 5 minutes one time, about how ridiculous it is guys don't wear braces because you're just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
He's got knee injuries. So, Jeff, do you remember? We know he's had an ACL, but what were the other knee? Do we know what the other knee injuries were? I'll have to look it up.
I believe Dickerson had 2 ACL injuries and then also an arthroscopic, like a clean out on the knee. I don't want to talk out of him, but I know.
Right.
Listen, the reality is he's had his knees invaded with knives quite a lot.
Yeah.
And the Eagles took a risk there, drafting him in the second round. He was a top 15 player, if I recall, top 20 talent. But obviously, with the wear and tear on the knees, there was some concern. And we were all surprised, Adam, because this was the same team that had the year before, or 2 years before, a year before, passed on DK Metcalf for medical reasons, yet felt very comfortable taking Landon Dickerson, who had multiple surgeries on the knees. So it was an interesting decision. And listen, he's played great. I mean, he was against Jacksonville. He had like 7 or 8 pancake. He's a beast when he plays, but you also want to get a long-term effective guy, a starter out of a second-round pick.
One other thing, guys, they only dressed 8 linemen.
Yeah.
So the only guy I don't think got any snaps on offense was Josh Sills, right?
We were this close to seeing we were this close, Adam, to the moment we had last. You remember 2 years ago when I said if the Eagles have to play Brett Toth for the first time in his career, the Eagles are in trouble. And sure enough, that was the Ravens game, I think. And Brett Toth had to come in.
I'll never forget that.
It was not pretty.
As soon as you said it, that happened. But now here's the thing. Let's just assume for now we don't know, but they came back in the game. Let's just assume that Dickerson and Kelsey obviously, but let's just assume that they're playing. Will they keep up? Will they get Roderick Johnson off the practice squad? Because Dickerson simply cannot. He just continues to get knocked around and hurt. To me, you better be safer than sorry here. You better have enough guys up, because they could have ended the game with Sills being the only backup, and that would have been brutal because he's an undrafted free agent. You know nothing about him yet. Nothing.
Where are they with Dillard?
Great question.
Well, that would be the one area where they can get that. He was activated into the 3-week window to practice when you come off IR. He practiced this week, or he was at practice this week. They did not reactivate him onto the 53, so they did not feel he was ready with just 1 week to come back. Now, next week's a new week. It's another set of practice, so maybe they'll feel more comfortable. And honestly, that's probably the best solution they can have going into Dallas, to be able to have him for depth purposes. And it'll be interesting to see if they would feel comfortable starting him over Jack Driscoll. That's a lot of stuff we'll get into this week, because that question will have to be answered. But I think we've answered a lot of questions about this game. It was a heck of a game. Eagles prevail. They are still undefeated, and it's going to be a wild week this week in Philly, with the Phillies going to face the rival Atlanta Braves and the Eagles getting ready for the rival Dallas Cowboys. So I want to thank our sponsors. Thank Manscaped, Sky Motor Cars, Freestone Farms, and of course our production team, Jimmy Hyden. Great job with Rebel Hill Productions. For Adam Caplan and Trey Thomas, I'm Geoff Mosher. Thanks for watching Inside the Birds Postgame Live.